Good morning. Welcome to day 70 of the 5 a.m. squat club. Now, you might not be the strongest. You may never have been picked first. Maybe you were the skinny kid in school with the big ideas. Good. My own dad cut me from my grade 7 basketball team. But I've been here training fitness for 25 years now, and I can make progress. Just because you don't focus on fitness when you're young doesn't mean you can't take over the world. You just need a system and discipline to get there. It's time for the nerds to take over the world. Let's go. Hey, I'm Adam. I've been coaching health and fitness for 25 years, and I was a skinny kid too. I made progress up until 2019, 2020, and then started falling off. My mental health took a dive, and my passion and my drive just tanked. Stopped making progress. Now I'm doing it. I'm getting it back for my family, for my girls, for what's important. Let's reach our goals. So if you're on a similar path, especially if you've grown up, being the black sheep, you've been teased potentially. Why not take it back? Let's go. Build your life. So format is going to be the same as usual here. We're going to get down and we're going to speak truth to ourselves so that we have the intention throughout the day. We'll warm up the body. We'll do some intensity, which is going to look like some single arm kettlebell swings and I think some hollow rocks. And then we're going to focus ourselves so that our most important work takes us towards our goal every single day. So come on down. This is everybody's favorite part. If we're feeling a little stiff this morning, this is going to be great. Feet underneath the hips. Sit on down. If you can't, if you're falling backwards or the hips want to stay high, grab onto a door frame, grab onto a friend, grab onto a counterbalance, whatever you need. And we'll set the tone for the day. I am responsible for what happens in my life. External stimuli will happen, but I choose my response and therefore the outcome. Today, I choose to be patient. So many things are going to test you, if you look at it like that. Your ability to create time between stimulus and response, and I'm speaking to myself right now, is key for you responding in the way that you actually want. I have all I need to succeed today. No excuses. Make progress. Every day you have the tools at your disposal. Make progress. I will focus on progress, not perfection. This is the whole theme of this. Don't ever focus on the goal. Just focus on the step that you can do today. And then in a period of time, progress is huge. So I will focus on progress, not perfection. And I choose gratitude. And that's just a reframing of the mind for me to focus on the positive and not the negative and see more and more of the positive. I am responsible. Today I choose to be patient. I have all I need to succeed today. I will focus on progress, not perfection. I choose gratitude. Let's go. Okay, warm up time. Coming up on the screen here, I'm going to warm up the hip flexors with some knee raises. Posterior chain with some good mornings. Just ease yourself down at first if you need. Some lunges, which I'll use support with if I need. Excuse me. A few burpees. You can walk yourself down, walk yourself back up if you want, or hop. And then just some squats. So we'll go through that maybe a couple times. You'll see that I kind of just make it up as I go in terms of the numbers. Follow along, or if you want to hop on a machine, if you got it, a row or a bike, or even take us along for a jog while you warm up. I'll give you a little backstory here. Mentioned in the intro that Dad cut me from the basketball team. I don't know how much trauma there is there. But today we're speaking to, those kids that didn't get picked first, right? They didn't necessarily get the girl. They didn't necessarily make the team. They didn't necessarily go on the, the sports trips or whatever. Maybe they were on the computer. Maybe they were reading books. Whatever it was, we were told in school that those kids were nerds. I wish I had gotten into reading earlier. But I think what we learn in life is that later on, those nerds, they're your boss. They own the company that you work for. They've got the better social skills. All the things that we aim for later in life, we don't realize that when we're young, that's what we should be aiming for. And unfortunately, kind of strange in that in our youth, because, certain people are trying to figure this out, unpopular, focused on, maybe unpopular is the wrong word, focused on different things, right? Focused on learning or focused on doing a new skill or whatever it is that those quote unquote nerds were doing instead of playing sports or chasing girls or whatever, seemed to be cool at the time. They were making progress towards something, and it just wasn't, fitness wasn't their goal, right? It wasn't the goal to be popular and, jacked and ripped or whatever. It was actually focused on something real. And it's interesting, I've had a little bit of experience with, personal story here. When, through owning the gym, I've got to meet a whole lot of people. And a number of years ago, we had a family that would come to the gym and their kids were homeschooled. And I guess this was my first real exposure or noticing of the difference maybe between people who had been homeschooled and, raised in the system. And these kids were well-spoken. They did not feel uncomfortable speaking to adults. They had interests. These two girls, actually twins, talked about how they were raising, butchering, and eating rabbits. And at the time, my first reaction is, whoa, like these kids are weird. And obviously the more I learn and the more I grow and the more I understand what the hell is the word weird, the more I realize that I want my kids to be like that. These kids would have been considered nerds in some public school system, but they had real life skills. These kids hadn't just been, and maybe I'm getting off topic here with traditional education versus homeschooling, but they hadn't been indoctrinated into this system where these kids are cool and you're not because you don't play sports or whatever. These kids were actually effective in life, but because they hadn't been in the system, they didn't know that they weren't cool. And it was interesting because my first reaction to these kids was that this is a little weird. Why are you talking about killing animals and whatever? But I was just immature. I was just so indoctrinated into the system that I couldn't even think of what a human should be. So I guess what I'm learning, and you can probably assume my kids aren't going to school, but what I'm learning here is that those kids had it figured out before we did. They had real interests. They weren't just, hey, let me put on some makeup and look good for this girl. I guess that wasn't what we were doing, but that came out. Their focus was on something important, growing, learning. So what they can do now, what you can do, and what I've done, I was always a big kid. I'm still not a big kid. Is focus on your health and fitness. You have that drive to make those important changes in life, those big goals. Now take the fitness seriously. Let's talk about that more afterwards in moments of clarity. Warm-ups more or less complete. Let's talk about today's workout. We're going to do a single arm swing I'll probably use a kettlebell and a hollow rock. So I'm going to bring out the mat here first. We'll talk about the hollow rock. So that'll be the first one of the two. Give you a couple options here. This is a core exercise. Teaches midline stability. I'll show you the extended version, and then we'll talk about scaling. So I'm going to basically come up into a banana, a shallow banana. And then my goal is create momentum, but then lock it up. I don't want to change the angle of the hip while I'm going here, just creating rigidity through the midline, rocking like a single piece. If that's not accessible, go legs straight up, hold the shins, squeeze the abs and try to rock as one piece like that. You go both legs in. You can make it a little harder by sticking one leg out and rocking like that. Maybe switch it up every few. That's your hollow rock. You could always do a sit up if you don't like the hollow rock. Just a little bit of midline stabilization. And then the second one is going to be a single arm kettlebell swing, but I'll start with this dumbbell because that's heavier. So you can do this with a dumbbell or a kettlebell. The idea is you're going to hinge at the hips, drive the thing forward, let it swing. So with the dumbbell, I'm going to hinge, drive, and let it swing. I'm just going to probably take them to shoulder height, although you could go overhead. And I'm going to do half and half. Half on the right, half on the left, aiming for, 30, maybe 35 seconds of work. Okay, so while you're getting set up and testing out your gear, make sure you've subscribed to the channel, like the video, share this with another nerd, share this with someone who can use it. If you grew up in that mentality that nerds can't get fit, they can't get ripped, let's go. It's your time. Other announcement tomorrow. First live. July 10th? No, 11th. 2 more days. I completely lied about that. Today's Wednesday. 2 days. Friday. Okay. Brain's not working super well this morning. Let's get moving here. It is time. So alternating hollow rocks, I'll probably do maybe 15 or so, 30 seconds worth. And then the swings, I don't know, 7 or 8 per side. We'll go from there. Let's do this. Ready? 3, 2, 1, go. All right. Good. Good. 16. Probably up those a little bit. See if I can hold on to this kettlebell. Too sweaty. So just thinking about driving with the hips on the kettlebell here. Maybe 8 per side. See if 10 is realistic. Okay, it's 8 and 8. It's rough on the hands. Ox. 17. A tough thumbnail to get. Two of each down. Oops. Oh. That's real on the abs. I think my brain's only half here this morning. Okay, halfway. Let's go. Three sets down, 2 to go. Wow, man. Those are burning. One more set of hollow rocks. 2 more sets of swings. Oh, you got it. One more of each. Oops, that's not right. I put it early. Junior 20. Uh-oh. Oh, that was it. Oh. Just fell apart a little bit. Okay, last set of swings. Last set. Good job. Take a minute, catch your breath, walk around, breathe. All right, let's get into a stretch here. We'll go with a pigeon for the posterior chain. So I'm going to start in like a plank position, and I'm going to reach one in front so the shin's across, square it up, and sit over top of that hip. So good job. Talking about, call it nerds today, and I think what I'm learning is that a nerd was just someone who in school had it figured out already. They knew that they had interests, and they knew how to dig into them, and they knew how to look it up, and they knew how to figure it out and dive deep into something and invest themselves. And that's what I'm trying to do now as an adult. So it's like those people that we called nerds before had it figured out before. And we were so caught up in the, I'm going to try to fit in, I'm going to try to be cool, which really just leads to being uncomfortable and not fitting in general. Anyways, they were on their own path. And I'm learning from that, and that's probably the reason why my kids aren't going to go to public school and they're going to stay here with us, is they can dig into something. They can find out what they're interested in and dive in 100% and not have to switch subjects and change ideas when the bell rings. And they're going to be able to find mastery. They're going to be able to find things they're interested in, work hard on them, and get to a place where they could use them in their life if they wanted to, just like those people that we would have called nerds in school would have done. So it's like they had priorities straight to getting to something important and something that mattered, as opposed to just social status, which especially in school means nothing and probably the opposite of what you want. So all that being said, if you've grown up being the black sheep or skinny or looked at as a nerd or not a jock or whatever, that's probably an advantage, to be honest. Everybody I see that's owning big, big businesses and making big change in the world, not the big jocks. They're the people that probably took a little bit of heat in school because they weren't as quote unquote cool. And now they're rocking it. So what I want to take away from this is screw what people think. Screw what people say to you. Dig down, find out what's important and work towards it. What you're going to learn is in the end, that's all that matters, right? Get out of school, you get out of that drama, that silliness that is judgment in school, and you'll realize you know how to make progress towards your goals in life, and you're going to get there. And those people who made fun of you are going to be your employees and your janitors and whatever. So keep on that path. But if you're off or you want to make progress, you want to make change, join us every morning. Let's get that body in shape, right? I mean, I'm still not the biggest guy, but I've been working out for a while and kind of looks like it. Make that progress, make that change, become the life that you want, become the person that you want. Let's go. This is the system. All you need to do is press play, join us every morning, make progress in your fitness, make progress in your life. It's homework time. Don't you run away yet. Remember, you got to build that thing, that business, that life, that dream that you were hoping for. It's not going to happen on its own. This is your 1 hour right now, minimum homework time. Sit down and make progress. Focus, read your book, write your book, produce your content, plan your week's meals, plan your workouts. Make that progress towards the goal that makes you the person that you want to be for life. So if you grew up being picked on or whatever, who cares? Take over the world. Let's make progress one day at a time. See you tomorrow morning, 5 a.m. Squat Club. Let's go. A little foggy morning, cooling off. Have a fantastic day. Let's go.